Hello everyone. So I made one video long back where I mentioned and showed you how to check the usage of your files. More importantly, if you are using a 120 GB hard disk, or maybe you are using 240 GB hard disk. So depending upon, of course, the size of your hard disk, you need to take care of the unwanted files. You need to remove the files or maybe archive them somewhere else from time to time, just to ensure that the overall usage of your disk is under control. Now, I have, of course, this laptop where my laptop, especially this one, is connected to one external hard disk, which I normally mount when I start my computer. But the inbuilt storage of my disk is 120 GB, which is not really a lot. It is using an SSD, and SSDs are not very cheap. I mean, they are not expensive, but at the same time, they are not cheap as well. So this laptop, it has been connected with this 120 GB hard disk for a long time. And I try to keep my disk usage minimum. And from time to time, I move things from this particular laptop to maybe an external hard disk or maybe somewhere else. But the main thing is that I need to monitor the usage. Now, using this command lsblk, you can, of course, take a look at your connected drives. So right now I have two drives, two hard disks. One is of course this STA, which is right now, of course, the inbuilt one, and I have this STB. Now this number, or this STA, STB, you based on, of course, further partitions. For example, you may have this root partition. If you're using a Linux, then this particular partition will have a number, and similarly for the external hard disk, you will also get a number. So you can, of course, mount your drive to the right location based on this STA1, STA2, whatever. Now the thing is, this is not really telling me the usage, and there is a command called df, and this df command will tell you the usage. And this is a really useful command, by the way, because using the df command, you can actually see here that the overall percentage of a specific partition. For example, I know that this particular SD3 is 76%. So it is not really a concern for the time being, but I need to do something about it. I need to maybe review my files or big files, and I need to move them somewhere else. Now, this is, of course, a second step, that the usage is probably going to exceed. So whenever it is more than 85%, I take immediate action. But from time to time, I do take a look at this information. And by the way, if you are using Linux, or especially if you're using Arch Linux, you can obviously display this information somewhere on top. And there are a lot of ways of doing it. But if you're using Arch Linux, especially if you're using DWM or maybe dmenu or st terminal, those circular utilities, then you have more control, and you can actually do these things yourself. For example, right now I'm displaying on top my RAM usage, my current battery percentage, and also the temperature and time. So this is something that you can do. You can also display your disk usage. And by the way, whenever your disk usage is more than 80%, 85%, you can do something automatically, or you can actually get a notification if you want. Now I try to do it from time to time. Now the third step is that you need to use. And by the way, if you're using df command, by the way, always read the manual to learn more about these commands. For example, if you look at the manual here, you will see here that there are different options. There are different things that you can do further with this particular command. For example, if you pass in here maybe you want to know, or maybe you want to see this information of the disk usage based on, because it is right now not really showing you the MB or GBs, but you can actually use -h in your command, and it will then tell you the same information, but it is much more human friendly. So you can always pass -h in your commands. Not all the commands, but wherever applicable. So this is of course something that you can do. Now the main thing, the main command that will tell you exactly what all directories are there that need your attention. So we need to use this command called du, disk usage. And if you type in this command, it will of course run, and it will show everything. And it will probably not going to be very useful. But what you can do is you can actually focus on maybe only, and by the way, the same command you can do with -h, and it will show you either GBs or MBs or whatever. So you will get this information here. So this is definitely useful. Now the thing is that this information here is right now showing me all the files, or this command is basically acting on all the files. But what if you just want to know you may have folders in your directory, which is obviously the case for most of us, and you may just want to know or sort those folders or know the size those folders are taking. So you can actually use this command with this additional argument. So you can pass in here max depth. So you can obviously read the documentation. And by the way, if you're using -h command, if you just want to know, if you don't worry about the individual directory or file size, you can also do summarize like -s, and it will actually show you this size, which is right now in my case 42 GBs, 42 GB for my home directory, which is I know it is not a lot, but I can definitely improve. So if you want to just focus on and want to know the directories, and you want to basically list all the directories in your the directory where you are running this command, and you want to know within the directory how many directories are there with 20 GB, or basically for the breakup of this 42 GB. So you can do for first level, and when you run this command, you can actually just see here the output. This is great, and this information is also telling me a lot, but it is probably not really going to be massively useful if you have a lot of files, because this is not really sorted. And for sorting, you can actually use this very nice utility called sort. And when you're using sort command, if you want this information to be again sorted, and at the same time you want to sort it based on the human readable file size, you can use -h, and it will tell you of course for each and every directory in your current directory where you're running this command, what is the size. And now this is of course useful. I now know immediately that I have a folder called projects, which is taking, I guess, almost 10 GB. Now this information is something that you can also, using sort command, you can actually revert this. If you type in R, it will actually show you the same information, but it will show you this information. Let me do it again. So basically it will show you the same information, but it will do a reverse. And you can obviously use less command in case the list is a bit big. So this is now wonderful, right? So this is a very nice way to check that right now I have this folder called projects taking most of the space. And what I need to do now is, of course, I'll probably go to these folders and I'll probably do something about it. I'll probably, just get rid of some of the unwanted files. But at least I know now the breakup of what directory is basically causing this trouble. And from time to time, I do this. In fact, I do it every week. And this is something that you have. So basically, most of my important files, they are usually within 5 GB. Like the files that I really care about, because I try to keep everything in text format. And when you have text format, you don't have to worry about the size a lot because it is text, and you can version control them. But that is not really always possible. So I try to still follow these practices every day. I think about the future. I think about the file size. If there is something that can be reduced, size wise. I do that, and just as a good practice, every week I just look at these individual directories and try to move, archive, or maybe get rid of those big files. So that is all. That is all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new. Thank you very much.